everybody, happy Monday. So I wanted to get on here and talk about some of our goals for the week when it comes to not only our work life but also our health. I know I said I was going to get on here and talk about nutrition. So we're just today going to do like Nutrition 101, everything that you need to know to start your healthier lifestyle. Okay, so first things first, eliminating something from your diet is not the answer. It's funny because even with all of the education that I give him, my husband's like, oh look, I got this chocolate bar and it's low carb, and I'm like, you're eating chocolate. Chocolate is a carbohydrate. Like, so now you're just eating some synthetically made chocolate, probably out of protein, which is not going to give you the same effect. So rule one, don't eliminate anything unless specified by your doctor or some specific ailment that you have. Okay, and then we want to always consume carbohydrates. We do want some fats, preferably healthy fats, but fat serves a very important role in the body. And then protein as well. Protein's very important. All three are very, that's what you would consider the macronutrients, which is macro means big. A big nutrient would be even alcohol is considered a macronutrient. So per gram, when you're looking at your label and it says there's 2 grams of fat, well, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to everyone. The way that you can figure out how many calories you're getting from the 2 grams of fat is fat has 9 calories per gram. So if you have 2 grams of fat, 9 times 2 would be 18. So you're getting 18 calories from those 2 grams of fat. So let me just break it down for you like this. Protein and carbohydrates have 4 calories per gram, and then fat is going to have 9 calories per gram. So that's why we do want to watch how much fat that we put into our diets, because it is more calorie dense than the other macronutrients. So like I said, if you want to do the math yourself, it'll tell you how many calories you're getting from the fat if you multiply the grams times 9, and then if you multiply the grams of carbohydrates and the grams of protein by 4, then that should give you the amount of calories that are in the food that you're eating. So that's something that, it's hard to understand. People don't understand grams, but they do understand calories. So that's something to consider. I thought that was a really cool piece of information when I learned it. So you want to know that. And then you also want to know how much you're supposed to be eating in a day. Everyone has different needs based off of their size and age and gender, and there's just a bunch of different factors that affect how much you're supposed to be eating. So you can go online, and they should have a TEE, a total energy expenditure calculator. That'll calculate how many calories you need for the day. So you'll have a good base point to know what you're supposed to be aiming for. Because a lot of people are just like, okay, I'm going to eat less, or I'm going to eat lower cal, but not with like a real number in mind. So like for instance, me, I'm somewhere around like the 1500 calorie range. So if I eat 3 meals at 500 calories, that's all of my calories for the day. It'll keep me at the same weight because that's how much I burn in a day. So I'm not going to lose any weight. I'm not going to gain any weight. But so your TE is very important to know how much you're burning, so you can know how much you're eating and then deduct the calories from there. Okay, so once you figure out, there's something also called the BEE. It's the basal metabolic rate that you are. That would be like if you're laying in bed and that's all you do. That's what your body burns naturally by your heart beating and, you know, blood flow, just all the things that your body does, that, you know, we're not always necessarily aware of. So once you know how many calories you're supposed to be eating a day, then figure out how many you should have per meal and calculate snacks into if you do snack. Coffee is something also. Coffee doesn't have any calories itself, but the cream and the sugar that you put into your coffee needs to be calculated into your total calories as well, especially if you do drink a lot of coffee. If you have more than 2 cups a day, definitely don't overlook your coffee sugar and calorie intake. And then once you have your range and you know how much you're supposed to be eating in a day, you can find meals that work for your calorie range. Like sometimes we just don't know exactly how calories we need or how many we're eating. So it's something to be aware of, and once you get those meals in place that you know are in your calorie range, you don't have to worry about checking nutrition labels anymore. You know that this fits into what you're supposed to be intaking in a day. My husband is twice the size of me, so naturally he's supposed to eat more than I, and that's just kind of, you know, a rule of thumb. That's just how it works. The smaller the body, the less fuel it needs, you know, kind of like a car, I guess you could compare it to. Hey everybody, so we're just doing like Nutrition 101, going over the basics of what we need to know to make our bodies the best that we can possibly be. So then, if you also drink any sodas, that has to be calculated. You shouldn't be drinking sodas unless they're diet, but you do have to look into the chemicals in the diet sodas. We always recommend water. Water is good for so many things. Then you should also take a multivitamin. A multivitamin can prevent your body from thinking that it's hungry. Sometimes, say if you're like super deficient in vitamin A, then your body's gonna be like, feed me, feed me, feed me, just so, because it's craving that vitamin A. It can't express to you what it's craving, but you just think that you're hungry, but it's not necessarily that you're hungry, you're just nutrient deficient. So you always want to do like a multivitamin that won't hurt anything, it'll only help, and then it'll also make you feel better. Like every vitamin and mineral, that's something we're going to go over too. As I go through nutrition with you guys, I'm going to go over every vitamin and mineral and all of the things that it does in the body, and you would be like amazed, and maybe, you know, things will start clicking, like, hey, maybe that's why I don't feel 100%, because I am not totally nourished like I should be. You know, it's just like the same thing with the car. The more you take care of it, the better you take care of it, the more maintenance you do, the longer longevity you'll have. So you only have one body. You want to take care of it, you want to treat it with respect, and you want to, you know, just nourish yourself. So like I said, calories and carbohydrates and protein, it's 4 calories per gram. So if you have, say, 5 grams of carbohydrates, that's going to be 5 times 4, so that'd be 20 calories from those 5 grams of carbohydrates. It's a good like base point to know and to understand. And then we're going to want to try to get our metabolism going. I'm not saying eat a big breakfast. Breakfast was something, you know, breakfast is the most important meal of the day. That is nonsense, really, because most people aren't even hungry in the morning, and it's calories that you're maybe potentially force feeding yourself, and you don't need them. You know, if you're trying to lose weight or trying to maintain and you're force feeding yourself, that's never a good idea. I've kind of made that a rule of thumb. Sometimes, like if I'm depressed or anxious, my appetite will be low, and I was like, okay, I'm not gonna force feed myself anymore. No more force feeding. Like, you have to follow your cues that your body sends you. Hey, I'm hungry. Like, you shouldn't be trying to fight past that, especially if you're fighting with your weight, you know? So that's just kind of a rule of thumb that I use. And then on like a scale of 1 to 10, on like fullness, you should eat to about a 7. at lunch, I would say a 6 would be a little bit safer, but a 7 is a good roundabout. You should never be all the way full. That's not ideal, and more than likely, over time, the pounds will pack on slowly. And then, so 1 pound is equal to 3,500 calories. So you have to eat 3,500 calories over what you're supposed to gain a pound. So you can do that by just eating, say, 500 calories over a day. And I'm just doing rough math. So in approximate week, if you eat 500 calories more than you're supposed to a day, then you will gain a pound. You have to eat 3,500 total over what you're supposed to eat, but that's not just in one day. It can accumulate from day to day to day. Even like if you do only, say, 500 calories more a week, then it'll take you over a month to gain a pound, but you're working in the opposite direction if you are trying to maintain or lose, you know, depending on your goals. And also, if you're trying to gain weight, like a lot of people do, then you want to eat 3,500 calories over to gain a pound of fat. So that I thought was kind of interesting when I learned that in school. Then I would also recommend you eating 1 fruit and 1 vegetable a day. Just one. Like, that's a good starting point. It's better than nothing. Most of the calories that we do eat are empty calories, so having just a little bit of nourishment from that and your multivitamin, even having a fruit in the morning with your multivitamin can help you absorb the multivitamin better. So that's also something that I would recommend. And then when it comes to the snack department, which is my weakness for sure, you want to think about like smart snacks. That was something like growing up, I had the diet really my whole life, but that's something that my mom was always like real innovative with. I know Weight Watchers has a bunch of cool like recipes. You can bake like a Weight Watcher cake and put like a can of Coke instead of all the other added ingredients, and it's like the moistest cake. It doesn't rise a whole lot because you don't put the eggs in it, but it's like a brownie cake. It's delicious. Weight Watchers has that recipe, and then they even have one with the chocolate graham crackers, and you put whipped cream in between and make like your homemade ice cream sandwich. So like if you love ice cream, then think of something like that, like the little ice cream sandwich. Like, you have to find a healthy alternative, because if you just ignore it, then the problem remains, you know. It's unfortunate, but that's just how it is. Like, we're really not victims to what we eat or how much we consume. Sometimes we're just not knowledgeable enough, or maybe don't want to come to the realization that we're the ones putting the food into our mouth and making the decision. So give yourself healthy snack options, and try, if you don't have kids or, you know, anyone in the house that eats bad snacks, try to just keep them out of the house. You know, that's the best way to prevent yourself from overeating on stuff that you don't need, is to not have it there to eat, you know. So that's just a couple little tips and advice that I have. If anybody has any questions, like specifically about anything in nutrition, just comment and let me know. I'll be happy to do the research for you guys and just give my, you know, professional opinion on how I feel about your nutritional needs and ways that I think that you can maybe improve it and things to avoid and stuff like that. Most things, like in boxes, like anything that isn't a perishable, that doesn't go bad, is usually empty calories. It's man-made. It's some kind of chemical structures put together, not by nature. We want to keep everything as natural as possible. Mother Nature is way smarter than us. I think everyone's still trying to learn that, but it's like Mother Nature is, as a whole, has it all figured out. Like, us humans need to get out the way and stop messing things up. So you want to eat things that are natural, just, you know, for your body to be able to receive them in the appropriate way and to digest them in the appropriate way. A lot of things that we're eating when it comes to those empty calories are dangerous, and we just don't know any different, you know? Whether it's corporate America that did it or, you know, bad science, it's our reality, and we can't really avoid it, unfortunately. So all we can do is try to minimize chemicals as much as possible. And that is a good way to start, by trying to eat more well-rounded things. You know, we know what's natural and what's not. Even like, you know, like, oh, cereals, the breakfast of champions, well, it's full of food dyes and just sugar, and it's actually terrible for you. It's probably when America lost control of our weight, you know, because if you realize, like, if you look at old pictures back in the day, most people weren't overweight like a lot of people are today, because they were, first of all, getting the correct nourishment. Okay, so if your body is nourished, it's not going to be craving more vitamin A or whatever you're deficient on and giving you a false flag that you're hungry. So that's important to remember, definitely, is that you want to keep yourself, like I said, nourished. And also, your body can process all of these natural things way better than it can all this processed stuff. You know, you think the process would have taken the process out of it, but no, your body detects all these chemicals and man-made things as foreign agents, and that's what's making a lot of us sick, unfortunately. We're finally waking up to it now. We were just so deep into the processed foods that we really couldn't see straight. So definitely want to avoid as much processed foods as you can. I know right now everything's expensive, so it is tough to put a meal on the table, you know, just for yourself or your family. And some people are just doing what they can do to get by, and that's okay, you know. If you are later in life more fortunate to make a better decision, you know, just keep it in mind for then. You always want to keep that in the back of your head to keep your body healthy, because it's the only one that you have. So don't let yourself go before you decide to take control, because you are in control. And listen, I understand. I fought with this for a long time. Like, it was just a mental game. Like, I really did feel like a victim to my eating. And once I got into dietetics, I got more educated. I was like, okay, like, stop putting yourself in the corner and do something about it, you know? So a lot of it is mental approach, just like with a lot of things. Like, some people can have the same life and one will be happy, the other one won't be so happy. Like, you have to have the right mental approach. It is a lifestyle change. You have to change your life with diet, and you know, once you do it, you'll be so proud of yourself for doing it, and then you'll feel better and you'll look better. Like, there's so many positives versus the few negatives. Like, okay, yes, you might be hungry for a little while. Oh, and also let me just tell you guys this, because it's very important, and it can be encouraging on your first couple days of a diet, if you do decide to start a diet. The first couple days after you've been eating normally, and then you go to eat less, your belly, like the actual sac of your belly, is stretched out. And then at the top of your stomach, there's a little sphincter that once the food hits the sphincter, it tells your brain, okay, you're full, your belly's full. Well, the first couple days of your diet, 2 to 3 days max, you're gonna have to go to bed hungry. Just fight through it, distract yourself, do what you have to do. But as you're fighting through those 3 days, your belly's going from here to smaller, okay? So you're hunger cue will signal earlier because your belly is full and not stretched out, so there's less room for food. So just fight through that first day, 2, maybe 3, and then once you fight through those days, you're like, okay, I did it, my stomach has shrunk, and now I'm not eating as much, I'm fuller faster, which is also good for your pocketbooks, you know, but you're gonna feel fuller faster, and then it'll maybe encourage you not to want to do the 2 to 3 day struggle again. So it might encourage you to stay on track. And then they always say, like, to treat it just like you would any type of addiction. When you fall off, the best thing you can do is to get back on the horse. You have to, the sooner you correct the behavior, the better. That is also another mind game. Don't say, oh, well, you know, I had all that ice cream yesterday, let me just finish it off. It's like, no, that's not the correct mental approach. You have to be strong. As fast as the thought goes into your head, like, ooh, I want a snack, it can go out if you don't fixate on it. You know, you have to distract your mind. I'll do that a lot of times with my hula hoop. Like, when I know that my brain's telling me I'm hungry, but I'm really not, I'm like, okay, let me go distract myself, let me grab my hoop, I'll do a couple things, learn a new trick, and then it was like it never even happened, you know? So it is about, like, building tactics to defend yourself against your hunger cues sometimes. And you also don't want to eat, like, too late. You prefer to eat a light lunch. If you do eat breakfast, a very light breakfast, and then have a supper that will be filling enough where you won't be, like, starving before you go to bed. But the first 3 days will be a little difficult because your stomach is shrinking, so your sphincter is not going to get hit, and you're going to be like, oh, well, I'm still kind of hungry. But it's just, like I said, this is like a transition phase into your new lifestyle change, is how you have to look at it. And once you have the right tools in place, you can pretty much eat and live a normal life. You just have to know what to do in moderation, how to, like, say if I made a bad decision at lunch today, I'm gonna make a good decision for supper. Like, it's all really a balancing act. You have to eat less than you burn. So say you do like to eat, okay? Like, you just can't help it, you have to eat. That's what my sister says. She's like, oh, I like to eat, I'm hungry. And I mean, I think everyone can relate to that. But say you are that person and you just have a really big appetite. Well, then, to compensate for the extra food that you're eating over what you're supposed to be, you need to work out. You need to find some outlet to burn calories. It doesn't have to be anything major, you know? I mean, you can walk in place, you can clean the house, you can grab a hula hoop, you can go for a walk after dinner, you know? Like, we have to set ourselves up for success and not for failure, because we are in control. So it's just important to realize that you have the power to change your diet and your body. You know, like, you have the power. It's gonna take, like anything that is valuable, it's gonna take some work, and it's gonna take some trial and error, but it's about doing the best that you can. And even, like, if you don't want to make a major change, like, make a small change. Just a very small change can make a world of a difference. Like, we were talking about the 3,500 calories to make a pound. If you're making one mistake in your diet every single day, and just that one mistake could be putting you over the edge where you might not be losing, you actually might be gaining. And you knew that. Would you potentially put that out? Probably, you know? So, like, that's where the power comes in, the knowledge. It's not, food is a mind game that we play with ourselves, but you have to deter yourself from the mind game and just look at it like a realist. It is what it is. What did I eat today? And what is the next move in my lifestyle change. So that's just my tidbit today. I hope you guys learned something. I will be back on, so we're gonna call this one Diet 101, everything that you need to know about the basics. And then I'm gonna go into like each macronutrient, and then I'll also go into each micronutrient, which is like vitamins and minerals and all that, and also like every diet related to specific ailments. So if you have any requests, y'all let me know, okay? Have a good day.